Greetings, viewer. Just wanted to do a follow-up on my presentation about the board games War at Sea and Victory in the Pacific, which I believe are still quite popular, and how they have evolved over time. You've just been looking at, in the introduction to today's video, some of my favourite variants, as well as two new, or at least newish games recently released: Seas of Thunder by GMT and what looks like a re-release of the original Jedco 1992 Victory at Sea. Compass have released a new version, or at least a reprint, of the Jedco 1992 Victory at Sea. I don't have either of those games, so like yourself, I've been limited to Google searches and other YouTube videos. Seas of Thunder looks like almost the ultimate combining of these two games. There's always been two approaches to combining the two games. Victory in the Pacific, this one here, was purely about the Pacific, and Victory at Sea, or the original War at Sea, was about the Atlantic. Lots of similarities, but they were slightly different mechanics. Now, there's always been two approaches. In front here, I've photocopied from my General collection, General being the Avalon Hill magazine from back in the 80s, even some from the 70s. I've got Richard Hamblin, who created Victory in the Pacific. He came up with Victory at Sea, which was a combining of the two games, but basically it left the two games as, I guess for lack of a better expression, separate entities with just slightly different mechanics. The ships could transfer between the two theatres, between the Atlantic Theatre and the Pacific Theatre, but their different combat resolution mechanics and other bits and pieces, different movement systems, were left in place. War at Sea 2 really didn't change that. That was by Alan R. Moon, who took some of Richard's ideas and various other variants suggested, added a lot of things that were sort of Victory in the Pacific-like to War at Sea, but didn't actually change the fundamental differences. Now, Admiral's War, which I mentioned, by Brian Herr, published by Canvas Temple Publishing. None available on the Canvas Temple Publishing website, and only one that I can see on eBay, and they want $240, I think it is, Noble Knight Games, $240 for a copy that's US, although admittedly that does include the variant that added the Black Sea and a lot of post-war ships. Now, I did mention that you can actually download this entire rulebook from Board Game Geek. I did also mention you could download the maps and the counters. Now, to do that, you need to look up what was Brian's precursor to this one. I think it's called Victory at Sea Redux. A lot of similarities between that and Admiral's War, but there are a few differences. But in terms of getting the maps and the counters, if you want to give it a go, and not trying to take any funds away from Brian or Canvas Temple Publishing, as I say, the components are there on Board Game Geek. You could give it a try and download those, cut them out, print them out, give it a try, and if you thought you might like this system, then you could hunt up an actual copy of Admiral's War and give it a go. A couple of other games I may have missed mentioning: Holdfast in recent years, Holdfast Atlantic and Holdfast Pacific. Worthington Games took this basic system and turned it into block games. So there you go. Anyway, I had done about a 40-minute video talking about the differences between the two games, outlining the basics of the games, the ship values, what they represent, the original sea areas for both games, 6 in the Atlantic, 13 in the Pacific, the differences between the movement in both games, describe combat, anti-submarine warfare, air, then surface, and disengaging, and then how Richard Hamblin changed a few things to make it more suitable to the Pacific and probably made it a better game. But when I sat down and watched it, I thought, if you're not actually interested, or if you're not a devotee of these two games, you probably got no idea what I'm talking about, and more importantly, it would be absolutely boring. So I thought, been promising or threatening, perhaps more an appropriate term, for a while, that I was going to try and do a battle report, a game presentation. So I've decided to bite the bullet. We'll see how we go. We'll play the two games together, and then what I'll try and do is to explain what's happening, all those various things I mentioned just before, as we go through playing the game. We'll give it a shot. If we get to about turn 4, 5, I'd like to include some part of Pacific play to give you a touch of the flavour of that. But we'll see how we go. Hopefully, if nothing else, you'll get a taste. Can I recommend that you go and watch Gilbert Collins' Kaiser's Fleet playlist, which I've got, I think it's public, I've got on my channel here. Just go through, watch them in order. Now, Gilbert's version is a World War I version, and it's limited to the Atlantic theatre. But once again, Gilbert is a very good presenter, unlike myself, very good presenter. Interesting, possibly only due to my personal experience, I've always considered the United States, or Canada, America in particular, as the board game capital of the world. Going back in history, Avalon Hill, with not only games like this, but names that may jog your memory: Squad Leader, Panzer Leader, Panzer Blitz, Strategy and Tactics magazine, and nowadays we have people like GMT, Compass, a plethora of others. Whereas I've always viewed the United Kingdom, England, Wales, etc., as the miniatures capital of the world. Companies such as, of course, the Giant Games Workshop, but also War Games Foundry, and of recent times, Warlords. Now, obviously, there's people in the UK that play board games, and miniatures are large in the US. But generally speaking, when I'm looking for something board game wise, I tend to go to the US, and miniatures wise, I tend to head to the UK. Interesting. Anyway, waffling. Okay, let's stop there, crack out the counters, and we'll see how we go. See you shortly.